Hi, this is William Ramsey. Welcome to William Ramsey Investigates. On tonight's show, I have Stoner Van Houten, or he just goes by Stoner, but he has some firsthand experience up at a notorious place called the Spahn Ranch, where at one point the Manson family resided. So, Stoner, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here. How you doing?
Awesome. Well, I'm doing great. Thanks for agreeing to the interview. Before we get started, maybe what you can do is talk a little bit about your background and how you became interested in this area or associated with this area.
Well, it started really. I was born and raised in Beverly Hills. I was adopted into a family in Beverly Hills. And in '85, unfortunately, my dad's business, he's a doctor there, he burned down, and it kind of set us back, and we ended up moving to the valley. And once we got there, I was hanging out with some kids who took me up to the hills of Chatsworth. And, of course, the hills of Chatsworth, that's where the Manson family lived, near Spahn Ranch and the train tunnel. And we would just go up there as kids and party and mess around and drink beer and watch the train go by, and really didn't think much of it. And basically back then it was just the kids just told the other kids that story just to kind of scare them, really. That's what it was kind of like to go up there and just get scared on a Saturday night. And that's kind of how it started. But then through my own problems, I went through a big, heavy drug use, and my life really was a mess for a very long time. And it wasn't until I had done some time in prison. I've done 2 terms in prison. I've been to Corcoran, where Manson was actually at. And then I just recently got out in 2011 from my second term and had nothing, absolutely nothing. And a friend of mine just happened to say, hey, man, there's this thing called YouTube. And I didn't even really know what that was about. And they said, yes, if you go on YouTube, you could start a little, video thing, a little vlog and tell people about stuff. And I said, well, about what? And they said, well, just you got to find something that's, big right now. And true crime right now is huge. True crime, and I would say paranormal stuff are very big. So I said, well, I'm not going to do that paranormal stuff. I'll do something true crime. And sure enough, I'm right there. I live 5 minutes away, in Chatsworth, pretty much right from Spahn Ranch. So I started going up there and just showing pictures and telling little stories about it, nothing too intriguing, and I kind of got really bored with that. Then I started taking care of the area, meaning like literally taking care of, like cleaning it, getting rid of graffiti, taking care of the trails, kind of like something a park ranger would do, maintaining the area. And once I started doing that, people started recognizing what I was doing, and they really liked it because they appreciated the fact that I was at least taking care of the area. I wasn't going down there to try to harm it in any way. And I was physically cleaning the graffiti with my own time, my own money, and everything, going down there with, stuff to actually clean it. So I kind of got into that. And I just happened to come in at the absolute right time. The timing of this couldn't have been any better. I don't think it could be done now, because when I came out in 2011, 2012 was my whole experimental year with YouTube and trying to figure out really what to do. It wasn't really until 2013 that the movie Manson, Manson, the documentary from 1973, filmed by Robert Hendrickson, that was coming out back onto the big screen in West Hollywood. And I went to that premiere, and it was at that particular premiere where I met all the other groups of people who happened to be involved in the Manson world and in theory and all that stuff, MansonBlog.com and CielloDrive.com and everybody else, and
Gotcha.
Michael Channels and everything. And so it was, and then also we met Robert Hendrickson. There was a Q&A. So that actually worked out really well, and I got to know them. They hired me. They're the ones who suggested I start doing like little tours at the ranch. And I wasn't really thinking of doing that, and I started giving these, which I do now too, are these little free hikes. I'll meet people there and just give them like a little free hike and walk around. At first it started out very small. Now they actually get rather large, and I have to actually work with the Park Service now. Now they would like me to buy a permit first before I do these large events.
When you say large, how many people is that?
I've had anywhere, oh man, dude, I've had 50 people.
Oh, wow, that is huge.
Yeah, normally my tours, I would say, I normally get around 25, depending on the particular day and what reason why I'm having a certain tour. It could get a lot more interest. I remember when Manson's last birthday, when he turned 83, the last birthday he actually had before he died, I actually did a tour on his birthday, and that was the day I actually had 50 people show up. And I was amazed. I was like, oh my God. It was actually a lot more difficult than you can imagine. It's one thing to lead around 15 or 20 people, but when you have 50 people that you're responsible for, it takes a little bit longer to guide those people through,
Sure.
through a state park. So I just started doing it, and I just started getting recognized. And I really, like I said, I really came in at the right time, meeting Michael Channels. Once I met him and he saw what I was doing, he just took me under his wing, and he was the one who really coached me. He's friends with Manson. He's the one now that's fighting for Manson's estate against the so-called grandson, Jason Freeman. They go to court on the 17th. So once I became friends with him, then he really took me in, and he thought for sure, okay, I'm going to teach you a lot of stuff about the case, and then in a couple of years from now, you're going to be really burned out, and you won't want to do this anymore. And now it's been 8 years later, and I'm more popular than ever. I've been on Netflix. I've been in books, other that just came out, magazines, and it went from being a basic ex-con homeless guy to basically somebody saying do true crime, and I did, and I have a car, a house, a job, some respect. I would have never thought I would have ever been on Netflix, to tell you the truth, something like that. 8 years ago, there was just no way.
When you, what program were you associated with on Netflix?
It's a show called Dark Tourist.
Dark Tourist, gotcha.
Yeah, season 1, episode 8 is my. I'm on there with Michael Channels and also Scott Michaels, who does a tour of Los Angeles as well.
For people who don't know Michael Channels, can you tell us who he is?
Michael Channels is. Well, if you've been paying attention ever since Manson died, Michael Channels is Charles Manson's best friend. The media has dubbed him the pen pal, but really they're really, really good friends. And he's known Manson for, well over 30 years or so before he died. And he takes care of him, has a lot of memorabilia, has a lot of stuff from him. So he's the one who actually tried to get the body when Manson passed away, and that was the big lawsuit that was going on. It was between Michael Channels, Jason Freeman, Matthew Roberts, and this woman who claimed to be the daughter. They threw out her. They threw out Matthew Roberts. They dismissed Michael Channels' will because he actually had a will from Manson, but they said it was invalid. And then they gave the body to Jason Freeman, who never legally proved that he really was Charles Manson's grandson. I personally do not believe that Jason Freeman is Charles Manson's grandson by blood. He's only his grandson by paper. But he won the body anyway. And now they're fighting for the estate, and they go back to court, as a matter of fact, on the 17th of this month at L.A. Superior Court.
L.A. Superior Court. What do you think the value of Charles Manson estate is on a yearly basis?
Oh, not as much as you would think, because you have to do something with. What I think is going to happen is whoever wins the estate, they're going to use that and then make their own little documentaries and stuff like that. It's not like they have, you get the rights to, basically what you get here, from what I've been told, is you get the rights to his image and his name. Also, there is some music left behind, but none of the real good stuff that's already been published, because that already actually is owned by copyrighted by other stuff. But it's a lot of other music that he has that you could possibly sell to somebody and make a little money on that. Plus, everything that was left in his cell, Jason Freeman's attorney has it all in a special locker, which they have a list of everything that's in there, and then whoever wins also gets that, which could be sold to a museum, which Jason Freeman will do. He'll sell his stuff to Zach Bagans, who owns a haunted museum in Las Vegas. He's been selling him everything so far. Anytime anything comes up for sale about Manson, Zach Bagans is right there to buy it.
Interesting. Isn't Charles Manson getting revenues, or isn't the estate getting revenues for the use of his likeness?
No.
Nothing.
Now, nobody owns his likeness or image or anything. So you can make a T-shirt, stickers, anything now you can, and you won't get in any trouble. That's why there's so many shirts and stuff. You can just go on Google and just type it in. You'll see everybody does it.
Right.
It's not illegal. Not yet. Now, once the estate is settled, then it will be different. Everything else that's out there can still go, but I don't think you can make a book or movie or something with his image or name or anything without the permission. But also you have to remember the victims' families now can actually sue whoever, and they will. I'm sure Deborah Tate's going to be watching this as well to see who wins the estate, because then they can either sue them and say, if you make any money, you got to give us some, or they can make a deal without having to sue them where they say, look, if we make anything, we'll give you a check as well.
Right. Some of these deceased, famous people, their estates are still generating significant amounts of money, and they have lawyers, and they enforce their rights. They enforce their copyright, rights. So
Right, but Manson is not as popular as I'd say as Elvis or Michael Jackson.
True.
He might be known as much as him, but his wealth and stuff won't generate the music and stuff. That's why Elvis stuff will sell forever.
True.
It's because everybody loves Elvis, But Manson, the name might be known forever, but as far as making it, I think people are really jumping the gun here on the whole Manson thing. It's not as much money as people think. There was money left behind when Manson died, but the money that was in his books went right to that went to California. They took it.
Gotcha.
There was, I heard there was $4,000 in his account. That all went to the state of California. So they took that right off the bat.
Right. It's not really, comparatively, not that much. I thought that Charles Manson had known children who, had children.
He has children. No, he has children. He had 3 real sons. 2 of them have passed. He had Charles Luther Manson. Then he had Charles Manson Jr. And then he has Michael Bruner. 2 of his sons have passed away. The only real son left is Michael Bruner. He's still alive and well and doing fine. And he's had, and he has children, and so the Manson bloodline will continue. It's Jason Freeman who's really been on the news and TMZ and all this stuff because he won the body. He's running around America saying, I'm the grandson, but technically he's never proved it, blood-wise, DNA-wise. His mom, in my opinion, just dated Charles Manson's son, and then she took him to court for, they weren't even married. It took him to court to, for alimony or something like that, for money for the kids, and he didn't show up to court, and then she ended up winning, and they put his name on the paperwork, and so legally he became the father, and the next thing you know, this guy ends up killing himself. Not because of that, but, it could have been one of the things. They said the reason that he killed himself was he was fed up with, having to move from town to town and who he was and being found out and losing jobs and losing apartments. Because he's Charles Manson Jr.
Right.
He had he owed some money to some weird people, maybe some, loan sharks, and there's no way he's going to pay it back. Plus, he has this woman who's now taking him to court who wants him to take care of 2 children who aren't his. And next thing you know, this guy puts a gun to his head and shoots his head off. And so a lot of things left, in his life just went wrong. And the thing with Jason Freeman is just, what everybody would like to see is him take a DNA test and just really prove that you really are Manson's grandson, which from everything that I've seen and we've tried to get reports on, which is very difficult to get on this guy. This guy, it's really hard to kind of get the info you need. It just, nothing adds up
Gotcha.
To him actually being the actual grandson. But it doesn't really matter now. The state of California recognizes him as the grandson, so, he'll probably end up winning the estate. I think he will. I would like to see Michael win it, but I have a feeling Jason's just going to win.
So what else is going on with, the Spahn Ranch and, the whole Manson milieu?
Well, right now you have the 50th anniversary coming up. That's the big thing. In a couple of weeks now, about 4 weeks from now, August 9th and 10th is the 50th anniversary, and there's so much going on. It's ridiculous. Even today, I don't know if you noticed, but the house that Lino and Rosemary LaBianca were killed in, it just went up for sale today.
Oh, I didn't know that. What are they trying to get? It's in a nice part of town, Las Feliz.
It's in Los Feliz. They're trying to get $2 million.
Wow. Yeah, it's
right.
a beautiful area.
Last time the house sold was in '98 for $375,000 in '98. Wow. Now they want $2 million for a 2-bedroom, 1.5 bath, no central air.
Wow, that's tiny.
And they want, tiny, right? Tiny. They haven't. The house is the original house. It's really the only thing original left, really, from the Manson case. Cielo Drive is gone. Even Gary Hedman's house is gone. A lot of the places are gone. Waverly, the house is still the original house. They've just taken the exterior and just changed the front and redone the backyard and stuff. But the house is still original.
Do you think the notoriety of the event that happened there has affected pricing in any way?
Okay. Yes, added it. In most cases, I think that the house would go down depending on what happened there. Not in this case. The house, to me, honestly, it's the $375,000 '98 compared to now. I would say the house is probably worth $1.5 million if a murder never happened there. Now, because it's tied to the most infamous murder, I swear to God, I think they added on another $1 million. It's like,
wow.
Look, let's just.
So you think that somebody who's like a Manson aficionado or a Manson groupie or something?
In that case, yeah.
We'll do it.
Trent Reznor. Look who bought Cielo Drive when that was for sale. That was Trent Reznor. About a band, 9 Inch Nails,
right.
And he bought it. He's a little bit weird, and I wouldn't be surprised if Marilyn Manson or one of these kooky rock and roller guys, at least goes and looks at it.
Well, Cielo Drive, I think they recorded Downward Spiral in there, right?
Yeah.
So they recorded Downward Spiral. Now that whole building was raised. I mean, it was a tiny little place, and there's a huge, like, mega mansion on there now, right, with a beautiful view.
I think it would be hilarious. I think it'd be weird if Trent Reznor buys the house and then records an album in it, and then he can say he lived in both houses and then record albums in it. I mean, but it's so tiny. I don't think anybody really can. I don't think any famous person can buy it. It wouldn't hold all their stuff.
Right. I mean, the square footage is probably 1,600 square feet.
Yeah, it's extremely tiny. If you're gonna look, I would say like someone buy it and then you just leave it there. Don't actually live in it, but then use it somehow to make some money. Like Zach Baggins, the music, or Scott Michaels, or one of these people use it, and then you just every now and then you have a tour of the house or something. I don't know, but you know what I mean. First of all, I can't see anybody famous wanting to live there because it's too small. That's the only reason why.
Right.
But I can see them buying it because of the intimacy of the house, and then somehow trying to make a little bit of that money back.
What else is going on? I mean, there's this movie that's coming out, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that I could have swore.
Oh, God, there's so much. There's so much going on. Yeah, the Quentin Tarantino movie, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, that's on July 26th. And that's the very next day, July 27th, is the 50th anniversary of when Gary Hemman was killed by Bobby Beausoleil.
Oh, wow.
That's the very next day. That's the very next day. You have the Charles Manson exhibit by Lethal Amounts Gallery in downtown Los Angeles. They're doing an exhibit the 8th, the 9th, the 10th, and 11th, where they're going to be showing you artwork, all kinds of Charles Manson stuff, and never before seen stuff to the public. It's all Charles Manson exhibit for 4 days at the Lethal Amounts Gallery. Then the real big thing that's really going on, well, before I get to that, the one thing I'm doing during that week from August 2nd through August 9th, I'm doing a personal tour. I'm calling it the Helter Skelter Live Tour. For 1 week solid, I'm taking people around Los Angeles to show over 40 different Manson family sites, which will end on the 9th.
And how do people find out about that? How can they sign up or go to check that out?
If you want more information on that, you can just go to my email address, which is stoner420fox@yahoo.com. If anybody happens to be in LA during that time and wants to join us, you can send me an email, and I'll let you know where we can meet for breakfast each day, and then we can all go. You guys can tag along with us. I mean, the tour is totally free. Everything I do is free. You just have to pay for, obviously, your own lodging, and then probably your car, and just follow us. We'll all meet for breakfast, like I said, and then I have an itinerary for each day of what we're doing, and it's everything from Spahn Ranch to Venice Beach to Topanga Canyon to El Coyote Cafe to Benedict Canyon, Waverly Drive, Spiral Staircase. I mean, like I said, it's over 40 different sites. It's a lot to see. Plus, I'm throwing in some other little things like a private tour of the Whiskey A Go-Go on the Sunset Strip. I know someone that works there who's let me in before with another small little group, and we can go in there. And it's actually kind of cool when you go in there and no one's in there. You have the time just to take videos and pictures and learn the history of it. So like little things like that. That's what I'm doing during that time. And then,
I'm sorry, continue.
So that's August 2nd through the 9th. And then here's the real big event, really. This is the big one. It's Saturday, August, or actually, you know what? Before I even get to that, let me tell you another thing that's going on. Scott Michaels from Dearly Departed Tours, Artifacts, and Museum in Santa Monica, California. He's doing a 3-day event, August 8th, 9th, and 10th. The 8th is sold out, which is an El Coyote dinner where you join him and some special guest speakers. They haven't announced who it is, but they'll be at the El Coyote Cafe sitting at the actual booth for dinner. That event's sold out. August 9th, he'll be showing a screening of Valley of the Dolls. He's going to do like a tribute to Sharon Tate because nobody's doing that. He wants to do a little tribute to Sharon Tate. So he'll be showing Valley of the Dolls with a dinner. Also, Sharon Tate's body double who was her stunt double in the films, will be giving a speech and talking about Sharon for that particular event. There's still tickets left for that. And then on August 10th, Scott Michaels is doing his full Helter Skelter tour, which is completely sold out. I mean, he's doing things that he's actually never even done before. And normally his tours are like 3 hours, and that's going to be like an 8-hour tour. So, yeah.
Right, so people who don't know, El Coyote was the last place that they had dinner, right? Wasn't that it?
Dinner. That was August 8th.
Right.
August 8th is when they had their last dinner, and they were murdered after midnight around 1:30 or so. So that's why it's said on the paperwork August 9th.
Right, so El Coyote is a restaurant. I think it's on Melrose, or is it Sunset?
On Beverly.
Beverly, sorry. It's on Beverly. It's still there.
Yeah. It's been there since 1930, I believe, and it's I'm gonna have my glasses on. The address is actually 7312 Beverly Boulevard. That's what it is.
Right.
And they went there and had their last meal, and Sharon Tate only had beans and rice. And some people are like, "Hey, how do you know that?" And it's funny because all you have to do is just read the coroner's report.
Yeah, right. Well, I actually just saw her. I was watching Eye of the Demon. She was in another movie before Rosemary's
No, Eye of the
Baby.
Devil.
Eye of the
It's
Devil,
called
yeah.
Eye of the Devil. Yeah, it's called Eye of the Devil. Yeah.
I think she was 23 at the time, and she was really good. She's a good actress, I thought. She was good. So.
She's not bad. I just watched The Wrecking Crew, and with Dean Martin and her in it. And yeah, it's all. It's actually not so bad. That was the movie where Bruce Lee was training her and stuff like that. So she gets in a little like karate fight with this other girl. It's actually kind of interesting because I had never watched any of her movies before until this year. I finally actually watched one. I'd never seen any of her movies, honestly. But I just watched that, and then I saw the one that you're talking about too, Eye of the Devil.
When you were talking, just to go back to the things on display of Charles Manson, did they ever keep that strange jacket that was sewn for him by the women? Do you remember that there was some kind of...
Yeah, the ones that they embroidered for him during the trial while they were out front on Temple and Broadway. That is gone, and it's been destroyed. Manson in the county jail actually cut it up himself and actually gave it away as like for pieces to people as either as gifts or protection or something like that. But yeah, Manson actually physically cut that up himself and gave it away. So that vest is gone.
Do you know what they'll be showing that were items of his at the museum? Do you know what things of
No,
significance?
I know the people. Well, no, they're not saying because they kind of want it to be a surprise. But I know the people whose stuff they're showing, and it's John S. Mills, who's a good friend of mine, and he did a Manson movie in the '70s as well. Famous. He actually was a famous rock photographer, and then from there he kind of got really heavily into the case. They're showing a lot of his stuff. Plus, I have some other friends who have a lot of personal Manson stuff, which they're showing. All they're just saying is most of the stuff that they're showing has never been seen before, and it's Charles Manson stuff. And I've seen a small amount of it. Like I just recently saw a photo of, this is really going to blow your mind, a colorized photo, 1942, Charles Manson, 8 years old in Kentucky.
Interesting.
And people are having a big problem with it because of the colorization, but the source is absolutely real and more to come, and people don't realize the real story behind the photo. And a lot of people are trying to say there's no way, but really there is, and there's a lot behind this, and it will all come out during the 50th anniversary. But that's not even the real big thing. I mean, I'm still saving the best for last.
Okay.
Besides that exhibit with Lethal Amounts Gallery, the real big thing is in Los Angeles. Nicholas Schreck, who wrote the book, The Manson File, the Myth and Reality of an Outlaw Shaman. He has been studying the Manson case for a long time, and we actually do believe his theory on the drug theory and stuff like that. And his book is wonderful. And he did a movie called Manson Superstar, and he'll be screening the 30th anniversary of that movie, and that's where he went to the prison to interview Manson. And it's one of the best interviews with Manson with Nicholas Schreck. So Nicholas Schreck's going to be performing with his band first, playing some music that they made especially for the 50th anniversary. Then they're going to be showing the screening of his movie. Then it will be a Q&A with Nicholas, and he's bringing an original member of the Manson family, but he's not saying who until you get there. You have to buy tickets for this. It's limited space, and you have to get the tickets now because it will sell out. I already got my tickets for it because everyone's like, who's he going to bring? Who's he going to bring? And it's like, hey, you just got to wait. I can, I don't want to give any guesses out, but I've met members of the Manson family myself. Gotcha. So to me, it's not that big of a deal. And because of what I've done, this goes back to what we were talking about earlier, me doing the YouTube stuff, I've never once ever tried to get hold of Manson family members. They all came right to me.
Interesting.
And said, what are you doing, and what are you saying about us? And
Bruce, what is the name of your YouTube channel? Just to...
Oh, my YouTube channel is called Spahn Ranch Worker. I actually sent you an email.
I forgot.
Yeah, I sent you an email of my theme song. So if you want to, I don't know if you want to use it or not, you can. So yeah, it's Spahn Ranch Worker on YouTube.
Gotcha. And so there's a lot. I think some people consider Schreck's biography of Manson, and there's been so many books. They consider it the best one.
It is really, really. It's definitely going to be one of the books on my Mount Rushmore of Manson books. I would say that book, George Simpson's book is very good, Goodbye Helter Skelter, even though it's a different theory. See, the only two theories that I think of is, well, there's three theories on the case. There's, if you want to believe Vincent Bugliosi's Helter Skelter, that's one. Then there's the Nicholas Shred drug theory. Then there's also George Simpson's theory, which is the copycat killing to try to get Bobby Beausoleil out of prison. Now, me personally, I actually kind of think it's a mixture of the two, the drugs and the Bobby Beausoleil thing, because the Bobby Beausoleil thing with Gary Henman has really nothing to do with Tex Watson. If you think about it, Tex Watson, Gary Henman is the only person Tex Watson didn't kill. He killed everybody else. I mean, he killed 8 people and a baby, but he didn't kill Gary Henman. And the whole Henman thing is all Bobby Beausoleil. It has really nothing to do with Tex. And Tex really wouldn't care less to save Bobby. He doesn't care about it. It's just the girls like him, and Leslie Van Houten was his girlfriend, and they're trying to work on something. Meanwhile, over on the other side, you have Tex Watson, Linda Kasabian, doing drug deals with Vortex Verkowski, possibly Billy Graham, hanging out with on Cielo Drive, Mama Cass's house, Jay Sebring, and they're doing things behind the back of Sharon. Sharon didn't realize the entire time she was in Europe, while Gibby and Vortex were in her house, they were having parties and having people come over, hanging out with Mama Cass, and Mama Cass was known to hang out with many drug dealers. They were basically just junkies, like Billy Doyle and a bunch of other people that were coming around there. So there was a lot going on there. And then once Sharon came back from Europe, which honestly is right around this time, actually she came back from Europe, I believe, on the same day as the moon landing, which is coming up. So July 20th of this month will be the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, and that's when Sharon came back from Europe. On that day, and her and her mother Doris and Patty and Deb were at Cielo Drive, and they were watching the moon landing together. That was the very last time Doris Tate saw her daughter, which I think it's kind of weird. It's July 20th, and she still won't be killed for for a couple more weeks. That her mom didn't stop by the house. She admits to calling her on the phone all the time, but she never physically saw her again after the moon landing. So now we know the time when Sharon comes back. So if it was 50 years ago today, we would know today, right now, that Sharon would be in Europe, not realizing that the end is getting close.
So, what was the other book? Did you ever read? Was it The Garbage People? Do you remember that book that had the second?
Yeah, there's so many books. Going back to the book thing, though, the only books that I really like would be the Nicholas Shred book and the George Simpson book. Also, the Tom O'Neill book that just came out.
Right.
That one is really causing a stir right now. The book Chaos: Charles Manson, the CIA, and the Secret History of the '60s by Tom O'Neill. It's got some amazing stuff in it that really proves that Bugliosi lied. I mean, this book here, this book shows you, it proves to you that Bugliosi lied. And there's a great chapter, or there's a great part of the book where he interviews Bugliosi, and Bugliosi knows this guy. He does everything in his power to let him know this book cannot come out. I'll sue you for $100 million, all this stuff. I mean, you can just tell Bugliosi was just a pompous asshole who did not want this book out. And this was supposed to come out like 25 years ago, but it never did until now. Now it fully exposes Bugliosi as a liar, and it has the proof.
What's he lying about? Is he lying about?
He's lying about actually making up the Helter Skelter theory to convict Manson. He needs to come up with this kooky thing about him being a co-leader and controlling the girls and having powers to actually get the conviction. There's no other way to do it. If he doesn't say the Beatles wrote the song and all this stuff in the race war. Well, see, what I don't understand is people say that, Manson was a racist. If Manson was a racist, why would he let black people kill white people, go hide in the desert, and then come out of the hole and then say, okay, Blackie, we'll take it over from here, and then work with the blacks? It's like, you just said he was a racist. Why? So now you're saying he's going to come out and control the blacks and work with them and be cool with them? That doesn't make any sense. But, the fact that the Beatles wrote a song and Manson hears it and he thinks black people are going to rise up and they need to go hide in the desert, to me is a ridiculous theory. That is just absurd. There was a lot going on at a time that you may know, in the 60s. They had, the Watts riot. There was all kinds of stuff.
Right.
All it was black people just wanted to be treated equally. That's all it was. They're not going to take over the world. They were just upset at the time. There was a lot going on, Martin Luther King and Malcolm X and all that stuff. And, so it just looks like, hey, man, black people are really getting pissed off. Well, they just want to be treated equal, man. It's not as dramatic as you think.
Right.
But
it's interesting. O'Neill's book just dropped the 25th of June, and he actually gave a press conference, I think, on Sunset last night. here in
Yeah,
LA.
last night he was for free. Yeah, for free. That's right. He was doing a thing last night for free where you can go down there and talk to him. Believe me, if I was back in LA, I would have went to it.
I actually have a copy of it right here. I have it open right here on my computer.
Oh, nice.
So, I mean, he's got some interesting information back up from San Francisco.
Yeah, no, the book's great. Yeah, I got the book myself too. I'm trying to get through that book right now, and the brand new Shorty Shea book by Edwin Collin. I actually helped out on that book too as well. And that's a really good book about Shorty Shea getting deep into his life all the way up until his death. It's a lot easier to read. It's a smaller book. So everything's coming out right now because of the 50th anniversary. Believe me, everybody's taking advantage of it. With the house, like for Waverly Drive being sold today, believe me, the estate lady knows, the realtor knows what they're doing 4 weeks prior to the 50th. They can get the $2 million. They know what they're doing. If it was this time last year, nobody would really care too much. All right, whatever. But right before the 50th, same thing with Tarantino, with Nicholas Schreck, with myself, with Scott Michaels, anything, that has to do with Manson.
But it's going to be all over the news. Every major media is going to touch this story. If not, they're going to come to L.A.
It's going to be all over the news. And let me just tell you this. Mark my words, I wouldn't be surprised on August 8th when they have the Last Supper at, there is a group of people who are actually having, and that's Scott Michaels who's doing that. Now, I'll be at the El Coyote Cafe with my own group of people, and we're not going to sit in that spot. We'll just be somewhere else in the restaurant because there's actually going to be a couple different groups there. But that particular night, when you're done with dinner, a lot of people like to drive up to Cielo. It wouldn't surprise me, honestly, if they had a security guard blocked off with some kind of barricade at the bottom of Cielo telling nobody that they could walk up there. Because normally that's what that would not surprise me, trust me.
Yeah, I've been by there. They changed the address for people who don't know. So, like, the street doesn't look anything the same as it did 50 years ago.
I actually was just down there last month and walked up during the day and didn't have a problem at all.
Interesting.
I mean, I literally we just pulled over. We just walked up. I was up there. I was at the gate for 35 minutes and making a couple videos. And they have cameras out there, and they know we're out there. They have cameras out there. And I still was out front for 35 minutes during the day, and nobody said shit. And I know that guy that lives there with David Oman, too. He lives on the block there. He thinks his house is haunted by Jay Sebring, which is hilarious.
Interesting.
That's actually, and he has those paranormal parties there because he lives on Cielo Drive, and he has these really big.
Who's the person who lives there? I don't know.
His name's David Oman. He has a house that he bought. There's 4 houses that are right next to the Cielo house.
Gotcha.
And he bought a house up there, and ever since he bought it, he's been having paranormal activity. Now he's turned the house into a famous paranormal house where TMZ and all these paranormal people go up there, and he gives tours where you pay $100 for a ticket, and they have all these, psychics and weirdos up there, and weird things happen. And if you go into his house, he actually has a big picture of Sharon over the fireplace out of respect to Sharon because he lives on the block. He also, now here's what's really creepy. The house that's next door to him is the original. There's only 2 original houses that were there when Sharon lived there. And Winifred Chapman, the maid, when she left screaming the house to go get help, the house that she went to go use the phone, that's the house that he lives next door to. He actually rents that house out to people who want to sleep there for a night. Like if you want to sleep in the house that the maid went to go get help, you can for $1,200. And he rents it out.
Well, he gets it. Wow, good for him. That's a pretty penny.
Everything that has to do with anything. I mean, I don't know if his house is really haunted. The house, he bought the lot, and then once he built the house there, it became haunted. And now he has a little movie or something called The House on the Hill.
It's a great story. So why let the truth get in the way of a good story?
And it raised the value of his house. It really raised the value of his house.
Sure. I bet. I mean, it's in a nice location. Cielo is really just right off of, what is it, Benedict Canyon, or is it?
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah. Oh, yeah, dude. It's in a great location. I wish I would have bought it. I know for a fact he only bought the lot. He paid $40,000. That's it.
Wow.
That's amazing. That's
amazing.
It for that. You know what I mean? I mean, it's insane. Now the house is, millions of dollars.
What else is going on coming up?
Really, that's really about it, really, because, look, I've kind of said this before. The Manson family stock right now is very high, but after the 50th anniversary, the hype won't ever be as big as it is right now. My generation of people who are my age, we were the last generation to have a living Manson, and now the next generation will really never know what it's like to have one, because I've had friends that knew him when they were on the phone. Manson actually even knew about me. I never talked to him. I never got a letter from him, but he knew of me because he would call Michael, and he would. There actually is a recording on YouTube of Michael talking to him about me. Like, hey, man, I get a lot of letters from your friend who's saying he goes to the ranch and he gives tours. Like, what the hell's going on? Manson did not know that the ranch had been turned into a state park until I told him. I'm like, it's a state park now. And he's like, what? He told Michael, he's like, yeah, I heard it's a state park. And Mike's like, yeah, it's a state park, dude. Not like with swings and all that kind of stuff. It's just a regular park, and nobody touches it. Nothing's been developed on it. And Manson was like, perfect. That's the way it should be. Just leave it alone. Just don't do anything to it. Yeah, he didn't even know they turned it into a state park.
What do you expect? I mean, so you've probably had communication with all of these amateur authors and sleuths about the Manson case for decades, or for the last decade, I should say.
Oh, yeah, I get all kinds of emails from people that I'm working on this. I worked with, honestly, one of the worst projects I ever worked on was Fox News reporter Lise Wheel, who's the one who sued, Bill O'Reilly for, sexual harassment.
Oh,
she did a Manson book, and she got a hold of me, and she hired me to be the location manager to make sure they were making these little videos. They hired me to be the location manager to make sure they were filming in the right spot. And then once I met her, they said, hey, would you like to be in the video with us? And I said, I don't believe in your theory. I've read your book, and I think it's horrible, but I'm just here to, make a little money on the side, just to make sure you're filming in the right spot. I don't mind doing that. Just because I don't believe in your book doesn't mean I won't help you out with the location thing. But I don't want to be, a part of this. And then they offered me more money. And I was like, all right, I'll be a part of your thing here. So I made 4 videos with her. We went to, Spahn Ranch, and we went to Gary Henman's house and Temple and Broadway and Pagan Canyon. And the book is just horrible. It's called Hunting Charles Manson.
I've seen that. Yeah, I've seen that title.
Oh, God, it's horrible. But and I know Caitlin Rothler, who helped her, too. I like them, and they're friends of mine, but the book was terrible. But believe me, I get a lot of people who just work on stuff. That Shorty Shea book was the last thing where I got a mention in it, where people just want my advice, or they just want to go down to the ranch to see what they're going to write about. They wanted, hey, can you meet me at the ranch? And I just want to get an idea, and it gives, as a writer. Or I actually get a lot of college kids who are studying to become investigators, who are taking classes in college. And they're like, I'm studying to do this. I'm doing crime, but I'd like to go down to the ranch. I'd like to talk to you about a case. I'm writing a paper. I'm like, okay. So, and I talk to them about the case. It's kind of cool, man. I get a lot of college students, actually, those emails from people who just want some advice on something that they're working on for a project in college.
Have you ever heard the story of Charles Manson associated with the Solar Lodge or the Solar Temple by USC? Have you ever heard that story?
No, I haven't, but I know that there's just a lot of different things that people try to associate him with now. Yeah. I'm basically, my whole thing really is just, and I try to tell people, I'm not really here to try to solve the case. I have my idea of how I feel about the case and my own theory, but my whole thing is really Spahn Ranch and to explain to people what went on there. Now, I've been in contact with George Spahn's family, and they even wanted to know what I was doing. And I interviewed them at the ranch just to help them rectify their name, and they actually gave me their blessing.
Oh,
we actually appreciate what you're doing. You're taking care of our grandpa's land and stuff like that. And I was amazed when they got a hold of me. I thought they were a little bit mad at me at first, but no, they just wanted to make sure. They came on a little strong at first, which everybody does. Then once they realized my intentions, they're like, okay. You're not really trying to do anything horrible.
The ranch was an old movie set. Is any of that stuff still remaining? Are any of those buildings still? All those buildings are gone.
No, everything's been burned down. And believe me, if anything was there, it would just be vandalized anyway. So I'm kind of glad nothing was there. Trust me, there would be a lot of vagrants there. It'd be vandalized, kids there. The haters would probably burn it down. I mean, something bad would have happened. So I'm glad nothing's there anyway, because it wouldn't be there.
Gotcha. We're at 40 minutes. Is there anything that we missed or anything that you would like to add or anything about that?
Yeah, I think I just really want people to understand I'm only doing this as more as a hobby and something to keep me out of prison. Believe me, like I said before, when I got out of prison, I had nothing, and I lived under a bridge, and I really had nothing. And this thing with YouTube, I think I might be the only person on the planet that can say I took the most morbid subject of Los Angeles, the Manson family, and I turned it into something very positive for my life. I mean, being a YouTuber and a girlfriend and a job and a car and a house, and I have my own museum. I have my own personal museum. I'm actually sitting in it right now of just a lot of, it looks like Spahn Ranch in here and the Manson family. People would love to come and see it, but I don't allow anyone to come to my house. I have things here from Manson family members personally given to me by I know Sandra Good and Lynette Fromey has given me some things to have here in my museum, some really nice pieces as well. And I've met, Steve Grogan, and I've met Barbara Rosenberg. These are members of the Manson family, and everything seems to be fine. I've also met Michael Bruner, Charles Manson's son, and he given me his blessing to everybody, and George Spahn's family. So I've met everybody associated around with this, and everyone's like, okay, man, you aren't doing anything wrong. You're just taking care of the land. Yes, you're telling the story. I just want people to know that I'm not trying to do anything evil or start a cult. I'm just trying to tell people the history of Spahn Ranch. And unfortunately, Spahn Ranch has 75 years of history, but all anybody wants to remember really is just the summer of '69.
Right, that's interesting.
And the place, that's where the very first Marlboro commercial was ever filmed. Episodes of Bonanza were filmed there. The Lone Ranger's been there. There's a lot of good historical stuff, but all everybody wants to talk about, the summer of '69, and that's really it. On any given day when you're at the ranch or you're at that area, the state park, you'll see one or two. It's not like it's flooded with people, but you definitely get looky-loos who want to come. And I have a feeling right after the Tarantino movie comes out, I have a feeling that's when you're going to get a surge of people. Even my numbers on YouTube, I think, are going to go up. More people looking for videos who might want to go to the ranch now or go to Corriganville where the set was built because of the Tarantino movie, because he has such a big following. And you know how movies are. It sparks interest in certain things for about a month or so after the movie, and then it dies down again. So I have a feeling right after the movie comes out, my numbers are going to shoot up because of the interest.
What is the name of the YouTube channel again?
Spahn Ranch Worker.
Spahn Ranch Worker. And if people are interested in going on that tour with you, can you tell them your email address again?
Yeah, the name of the tour is called the Helter Skelter Lies Tour. It's August 2nd through August 9th, and my email is stoner420fox@yahoo.com. Just let me know what days you're going to be in LA, what days you want to be there. We have an itinerary for every single day. The second, actually, honestly, August 2nd actually is the day we're all meeting, so we're not really doing anything on that particular day except just meeting up and then having dinner. The tour actually starts the very next day on the 3rd.
Gotcha. Cool, man. So it was Bruce, the Spahn Ranch Worker. Thank you very much for the interview. I appreciate it.
Hey, no problem. Thank you so much.
Take care. Okay, bye-bye.